How is everyone doing? I am up. I apologize for the delay, you guys. We were out in the woods, and our favorite person, Amanda, we were trying to wrap up a scene. It was taking a little while. Here we go. Everyone's loading on.
Hi.
How's everyone doing? Some people. You guys, I apologize for the delay. We also were out in the woods at a really cool mid-century house, and there was no service. And Amanda was taking a little bit of sweet time getting through some scenes, and we had to get it finished up. So I apologize, and then I could not get start. There's trees everywhere, so there's just no service. Um, okay. Well, we're gonna wait for a couple more people to kind of log on, you guys. And as we're doing that, is there any urgent questions before I kind of pull up a quote tonight? We're kind of going over like vague quotes and detailed quote, like a vague quote and why this doesn't work and how we want to make it adjusted. Um, Anything urgent you guys anyone want to ask until I'm gonna wait for a couple more people to kind of breathe on. I'm late and I apologize. No questions.
Hey James, I,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's going on, bud?
Not super urgent, but I was curious um when you replace plumbing, because I my project has galvanized plumbing and I would want to replace it with PEX. Do you typically do like the entire replumbing of the house or just areas that are exposed, like the kitchen and the bathrooms and whatnot?
Typically we're replacing everything, but it kind of depends on the price point and the comps that we're using too. Because sometimes if we're going for a lower price point and I can kind of look through the comps, like, well, that thing doesn't have all the updated mechanicals. I won't do everything.
Yeah,
Um, what kind of price point are you going for?
this one's in Magnolia. It's like 1.3, 1.4.
Magnolia in Seattle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one you're gonna replumb the entire house typically.
Okay. Because I was thinking like even if they get like an inspector to go through it, right? How would they know that everything wasn't like replumbed unless they open up the walls or something during the inspection report?
A lot of times it's kind of like well, they're gonna look at the permits a little bit, and then they can typically tell by some water flow in the house. I mean, and I am a firm believer that galvanized doesn't always need to be replaced. It's just the issue is when they call it out on an inspection, it's way more expensive to fix that later because you got to open up all the walls, and sometimes that's just a straight sticking point for people. Um, how much PEX were you? Were you just going to do the PEX like in the shower surrounds, or
Yeah, because I wasn't gonna open up all the walls anyways. We were just gonna do like a cosmetic remodel for the bathroom and like the kitchen.
okay? Oh, okay. So you're not opening all the walls.
Yeah.
Okay, and then have you had like any kind of water flow issue at all in that house?
No. Like wherever we see it, we'll replace it like with the water heater or like any places in the basement where the plumbing's exposed already, then yeah, we'll update those. But like I don't want to go through and open up walls when I don't need to, you know?
No, no, for sure. And then when you do your shower surrounds, you're probably gonna replumb that entire thing too,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Like that'll be PEX.
Okay. I mean, if you're not opening the whole thing and it's flowing well, you can definitely make an argument. You just want to make sure that the water's not locking up at all. And then you can just disclose that, hey, water flow's been good. We've replumbed. Because are you pulling a plumbing permit on it, or what's I guess your process for
I
that?
was thinking about doing like a STFI.
Okay, but you're not moving any walls.
No.
You might not even have to do an STFI if you're doing that. Then you might be able to just pull plumbing and electrical permits.
Oh, oh, without the STFI?
Well, if you're not moving any walls, are you
Yeah, I'm
adding
not.
spaces or adding bed?
No,
I mean, honestly, you can probably pull an electrical and a plumbing permit on it then.
like that's it.
Yeah, because it's if you're not moving those things, that's kind of what they have to look at because you don't technically need a window permit. And um, y
Well, I
y
am replacing windows though.
No, but you don't need a permit for that.
Oh, I see.
Because if it's like for like, you just don't have to, you don't have to do it. And so, you know, I would just get electrical plumbing. Why pay the rest of the permits? Because then you got to get as-built on all those things. I mean, you could literally probably save 3 grand in permit costs and as-built and all that, and put a little bit more money into the plumbing.
I see. So just do electrical and plumbing, and then that should be because that should be easier and quicker to pull, right? Than
Those
having
are
to go
over the
through.
counter. You'll have that permit the next day.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, I'll just have my contractor do that then.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would do. I wouldn't even get a building permit.
Okay. So even an SF or like a subjective field, that's like you think that's too much for the scope.
Because you're not really moving anything, so there's not a framing inspection.
Mm-mm.
There's no insulation inspection. There's no real things to inspect because the plumbing and the electrical they'll need to look at because you're moving a little bit of that stuff around. But I wouldn't go with, I mean, I think you're kind of wasting your money at that point.
Oh, okay.
And then
Glad,
also when
glad
you
I
sell
asked.
the house, it's kind of like that's the story. Like, hey, we pulled an electrical permit for these things. We did a plumbing permit for this. It was in good shape, but we replumbed the bathrooms from vanities over to the shower stalls. And it kind of goes in line. I just think you're going to waste 2 to 3 grand by getting that permit.
Okay, so just electrical and plumbing, and then they could just get that over the counter.
Yep. Yeah, your plumber can pull that and your electrician can pull that.
Sweet. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yep. No, and you get that's all we always want to kind of think tactical on that, right? Because like an SDFI is pretty quick, but you still got to get an as-built, you got to submit in, you got the permit fees. And like what's your total budget on this house?
Around 150.
150, right? And
Yeah.
so, that's roughly 2.5% of your whole budget would be just for the STFI work.
Mm, okay.
And so then you can kind of put that into other spots. I wouldn't get that if you're not moving walls for sure.
Okay.
Good question. Um, all right, guys. So I'm gonna pull a bid right now, guys. We're gonna talk about vagueness on bids. You guys, one of the things about construction, you hear me talk a lot about this, especially in our educational side, like throughout all the courses, right? Is clarity is key when we're hiring contractors. And the more clear we are as operators about our scope of work and what we want done, that's really going to dictate a lot of whether we're going to go way over budget or not. And so I'm going to pull up a bid, and you guys, you're going to laugh at this. This is from a contractor I've known for over 10 years. This is also on a fairly expensive house that he was doing some work on, and we got the quote, and I got it. I'm like, is this for real? And so, for us, what do we have to do with that? And I'm going to pull back on how we kind of created that scope of work and deliver it back because we did hire this guy, but we did not hire him based on the quote. Let's see. I just had.
Hey, James, I think Nicole said she's waiting in the waiting room.
Oh,
Oh, looks like
I
she's
already
in.
let her in, I thought.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's in now.
No,
Sorry.
I
okay.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize for the delay, guys. Just in the woods and Amanda, I will say, you guys, we have this house on $1 million zombie flips coming up that is so badass. It's a famous architect did the house, a tree hit it. It is a disaster, but if we can bring this thing back to life, it is a really, really cool project. But it's also in an acre in the woods, and we had zero service all day. Okay, so let me pull up this quote. And so you guys, again, it's for us as flippers, it's really, really hard to, especially we can get a little lazy, including myself. Like when I know a guy, I'm like, okay, well, he'll get it done. He'll get it done. But then that's where the change orders start. I just recently had something with a contractor where we went through it and we talked about a few things. I forgot to put on my written scope of work. And then we were talking about it on site, and guess what? It's not in his quote. Even though we talked about it, I didn't put it on my written scope of work. I missed it. Therefore, it wasn't on his quote. And because of that, I got to pay for it. And I'm not mad at the contractor because we talked about it. I didn't do it. And so it's really important to not rush through these estimates and quotes. Okay, so you guys, this is for make sure there's no one else in the waiting room. So this is the quote we received. Okay. This property here, let me show you. I'm gonna also show you what the house looks like right now. Okay. So can you guys see the house right now?
No.
No, just the bid.
Okay, let me do this. And again, so you guys, I've known this guy. He's actually been an employee of mine. Like I know this guy really well. He knows what my process is, but we walked through the property and he gave us a quote and it was extremely vague, right? And that's what we want to stay away from. We don't want to play in the vague. But as you guys can see, this is the finished product that we put out there. Not that, that's all the amenities. But the house was refreshed with new tile, new countertops, new lighting fixtures. It had all new interior paint. The decks got re-rolled out. The bathrooms got a fresh new valves, new tile. Everything really got touched on the inside. This is the primary bath that got installed. We ended up putting a new tub in this location, all new shower, we changed everything about the layout in that bathroom. So that's a full rebuild. You know, new vanity location, new toilet location. So even though it was a cosmetic refresh, still a lot of work got done. The kitchen got totally replaced with new cabinets, new countertops, new appliances, all new light fixtures. But when you look at the work that this guy completed, and this is what we talked about when we walked through the house, we went through the property, and this is the quote that he gave us. And again, I've known this guy a long time. Let's read the description. Demolition, all baseboards stay. What does that mean? What the real scope of work on this property was demo the cabinets in the kitchen, remove all doors and trim, gut every bathroom, remove all vanities, tubs, toilets, surrounds. We removed all carpet and flooring throughout the house except for the hardwoods. We removed all appliances. We removed all the trash and debris from the garage. And, again, this was a house that was lived in. A lot of things were already done, but we had to take everything apart. This is not what this quote says. And so if the demolition goes, demolition, all baseboards stay, we don't know what that means. That also could mean he's going to take it down to studs. Not going to work for us, right? So we need to make better clarity. And I'll show you kind of how we wrote out that scope of work. But as we can also see, one of the other major issues with this is there is no unit price or line item. And this is what we have to stay away from, guys. We don't want this lump sum bid at the bottom, 115,000. The reason we don't want that is because if we get in a dispute with that contractor, or the contractor says, well, hey, well, we didn't have enough budget in the electrical because of A, B, and C. We can't tell, so there's no way to negotiate it. We are trapped with this written scope of work, and we have to pay them 115,000. Doesn't matter what was said, what was told to you. If this goes to a judge, and let's say the guy tries to lien the property, and you try to fight it, you will lose because he showed up and he said he did the written scope of work. Or if I have to let this guy go in the middle of the project, he could say, hey, I did $95,000 worth of work already. You need to pay me that amount. And so having these things itemized is essential, but then we also need to have clarity on this. Okay, so reframe and plumbing the new master shower. That is not also correct because we replaced all the valves in all the bathrooms. We put in all new faucets. We installed new fridges. He's missing a ton of the plumbing work in there. He put in new doors, including the main entry door. What does that mean? Are those hollow core doors? Are those solid core doors? What style are those doors? As you can see in the photos, we put in nicer materials. It wasn't like a 6-panel door, but if I agree to that, he could just put in a 6-panel door. Fix the drywall as needed. Not okay. The drywall that needed repaired was he remudded the entire kitchen. He remudded one bedroom in the bathroom. And then he also remudded and installed all new drywall in the primary bathroom because we took it down to studs and moved everything around. Fixed drywall as needed means that's 100% up to the contractor. And again, there's no money sent over there. New fixtures, new switches, and new outlets. That doesn't even say electrical. Does new fixtures also cover plumbing? Does it cover it? There's nothing really broken out. Is it new fixtures in the bathrooms and all surface mount lights? All the switches and outlets are getting replaced. What about the smoke detectors? What about the carbon dioxide detectors? Anything that has to be trimmed out, we have to have referenced in there. And again, there is no dollar, there's no money associated. All new bathroom accessories. Okay, that somewhat works, but it needs to say for 3 bathrooms. Because he could also say, well, I was only renovating that upstairs bathroom upstairs, and so it's only one. Refinish the floor. Again, pretty vague. Refinishing the floors, you guys, what this doesn't say is it's going to be stained 2 to 3 coats. Or how this should read is we are sanding all hardwood floors, including stair treads. We are going to refinish the hardwoods with a color selection of owner's choice, and we are doing 2 coats or 3 coats. Whatever's in his quote, that needs to be listed out. Because someone could come in and refinish your floors and put 1 coat on and say, well, that's all I was doing. For refinished floors, you got to put at least 2 coats on, typically 3. And so this has to be spelled out, and that's how like change orders start creeping up on people. Fix the sliding door glass in 1 window. That somewhat works because glass on a sliding door and 1 window. I'd like to call out specific. Fix the window in the kitchen behind the sink and fix the sliding door off the living room. Tile master bathroom. That's great because we are installing tile, but the master bathroom is getting tile floors, it's getting a tile mud pan in the shower, and it's getting a tile surround throughout the whole shower backsplash. If those things aren't called out, he could install tile and put a plastic mud pan in. It doesn't specify it. And so we need to specify the locations of the tile inside that bathroom that is being installed. Install new kitchen backsplash. Okay. But this is also missing on the tile sections, including all materials, hardy backer, grout, and sealers. If it's just to install the tile in the master bathroom and it doesn't have the waterproofing, that could not be included. And so we always want those things included. On you guys' budget sheet, and that's what we're going to pull up, we're going to look at, okay, this is how we spell it out on our budget sheet, and this is why, because it covers those angles. Um, Exterior pressure wash the house and landscaping. What is the landscaping? Is he cutting back the yard? Is he installing black mulch in all the beds? Is he installing sod in the front yard? These are all things that were included in the price, but that's not how his bid reads. Exterior, pressure wash the house and landscaping. Note, not including kitchen cabinets, countertops, vanities, exterior painting, and garage doors and appliances. So he made very specific of what's not included, but then the stuff that is included in his bid is not specific. And the reason I wanted to pull up this quote, you guys, because this is a for real quote. This is for $115,000. What's really listed on there, even though the guy had the intention of putting in the right stuff, he's missing. This is probably $25,000 of work that he's actually listing out, even though in his brain it's the work that we're supposed to be doing. And so on this property, right, this is what we have to stay away from. Pull up the real quote. Well, you know what? I'm just going to pull up a budget sheet because I want to kind of go through how that quotes are supposed to read. So we're going to pull up an actual quote, but one thing that you guys I made for this call, and this will get loaded into your um, I created a new scope of worksheet for everybody. Oh, here we go. Sorry. That the more detail we are, the better. And so I know sometimes the construction calculator, there's training videos on it. And you guys, I love using that calculator. It works really well, but sometimes we just need something a little bit more basic too. So what we did is I created a new little scope of worksheet for you guys. And depending on the location that you're in, you want to make some modification. For example, I don't think like termite inspection is on, where I know there's a lot of termites in Arizona, California. And so kind of area specifics, you want to kind of add that in. But let me grab, where is, okay. So the scope of work checklist, and then we're going to pull up an actual quote, is right here. So I created this form. You guys, it will be loaded in to your guys's kind of toolkit. But as we see in demo, right, you guys, so throughout this checklist, you can use it, you can cross it off, you can give it to the contractor prior to quoting. Like in our demo, we need to be specific, right? Remove cabinets, remove millwork and doors, remove all light fixtures and trim, remove all plumbing fixtures, remove appliances, demo bathrooms, demo kitchen, remove flooring, remove all items and trash, demo to studs, remove all debris. Then you can add in extra boxes, right? Like, hey, remove the boat that's inside the garage, the vacant car, the kind of specialty things. But use this list to start checking things through on what needs to be installed. Then this can go over into your budget sheet. Exterior, we want a new roof. We want new gutters, new fascia boards, new windows, new front door, new exterior doors, new garage doors. It's clearly kind of laid out so you can go through the property and check the box as you're going through. You then will take that form and you can use that construction calc to start really running your kind of estimated costs. And so it's a new kind of sheet. I took the existing one that's already on there and I kind of revised it and got a little bit more thorough and added more things in for you guys. So this will be loaded. So the first thing we want to do, you guys, is with our contractors, we need to give them that scope of work and say all of these items need to be included inside of our quote. And so you can go through, check the boxes. Hey, this is what we want done. We want a new meter. We want a new mast, new electrical panel, for rewire the home. Do we want pendant lights? Are we putting in bathroom fans, surface mount lights? It allows you to kind of just go through the box and then make sure that it's in there with the quote. Now, with this contractor that we use, or the one that we just put on this job, this is what we really want him to work off of. And if he's going to give me a very, very vague quote, at minimum, I want all these boxes checked with details in there. But the issue is the scope of worksheet is still not going to give us the number breakdown. And so this is a new form I want you guys to go through. It's something you guys, it's really helpful like when you have this and you're just going through a project just to have everything in front of you because it tells you to check it, but then it also just reminds the contractor to put it inside the scope. Or if you have a vague quote, you can have the contractor sign this, put it inside the construction contract that the contractor is acknowledging that all of these items are inside. That's about that clause in the construction contract that will tie it together. On the estimates, pull up a budget now. Okay, so what we need in our quotes, and this is why a lot of times, you guys, we actually, if the contractor can't break it down, because one of the issues that we have as flippers is our people are not good at paperwork. Like the guy that I told you that sent me, I showed you guys that estimate. That was a real estimate. He's worked with me a long time. he did all the work that we talked about, but it was just not written out well. He is not good at writing up quotes and writing up estimates. So a lot of times we like to prepare those things for him and they'll sign off on them. I would say 70% of our generals use my budget sheet as their quote, and we tie it together with the construction contract and the specs. But when we pull up this budget sheet, we need the same detailed that the sheet has. And, sometimes this can get a little overwhelming for the guys that we use. And there's a couple ways that we use this when it gets a little overwhelming. The first thing is, you guys, when you're creating, there's a couple tabs on this, right? You can do numerous different ways to create proposals. This is a project that we're spending 365,000. This is all broken down at least by line items. And so a general contractor, they could come in and we could have that scope of work checklist and it's going to summarize it all to where it's at least broken down. So if I have a problem with this contractor halfway through and he's done 50% of the framing, 50% of the plumbing, 50% of the electrical, and that's it, I know exactly what I need to pay him, and he's acknowledged that in there. How this is calculated, you guys, I want everyone to watch, because I get a lot of questions on like, oh, how do I calculate the budget? Watch the video on how I work this sheet, you guys. I really set it up in a way to where, our team can actually use this as the quote for half of the people that we hire. We didn't really tell them they have to do it that way. They just go, hey, this is pretty thorough. We're going to start using this. And so as we get through, we got to clarify the scope of work, right? So we take that checklist that I just now created for you guys, and this is where we have to get more detailed, right? So, like on the bid that we had was replace 2 windows, whereas this estimate says we're putting in black windows. There's 30 of them. The total cost is 19,500 for this house. So he's replacing all windows up to 30 of them. And we know what our costs are. So if he only gets through half of those costs, I get I'm getting back roughly $9,750 on that. If, so it has that description. As we go through this quote, it's also, hey, we're going to install all new siding, fascia board, and soffit. It doesn't just say new siding. They know that they are touching everything because the amount of quotes you guys I paid where I thought the fascia boards and soffits were in there and they were not, it costs serious money. That's like a $3,000 to $4,000 line item that will creep up on me. And so it all needs to be clarified on what they're doing in this description of work. Now the contractor knows this is exactly what we're replacing. It's 3,800 square feet, and we're paying him 22,800. We're putting in a new cedar soffit at the entryway. This is going to be $3,000 worth of woodwork on there. And so we broke it out between the siding, which is all hardy, and then the cedar specialty woodwork was separated off. And again, these things are very, very, with the more detailed is the more we're going to prevent change orders. You guys, just recently, I got a change order for a property, and Brian, my project manager, goes, hey, look, we got a change order. He sent it over, and a lot of the stuff we had discussed, but then, as we're talking to the guy, he's like, yeah, we had to install some more beams. And I'm going, well, I'm looking at this quote. I'm like, it says all beams are provided in this quote. And then it had a line item for $4,000 for the beams for this house. And so what it did is the contractor goes, oh, well, I didn't know about this beam and this beam, so it cost this much. And I'm going, okay, well, what we had our project manager do, Ryan, I go, hey, go back to him and ask, which beams have you installed and what was the cost of those beams? And he's only installed one, but we gave him $4,000, even though he's treating it like a change order. His new beam install price was roughly $3,500. After he looked at the quote, and because it was broken in as framing and beams separated, he actually ate his whole change order on the beams minus $500 because he looked at it and goes, yeah, you're right. 6,000 was for the framing, 4,000 was for the beams, and I've only put in one beam that was about $900. And so he absorbed that cost. So the clarity in that made it not a rough conversation. We could talk about it. We went over the plans. It was listed out and not just say framing for house. He looked at the number. He goes, yeah, you guys are right. And he ate it. And so what having clarity, you guys, is going to really prevent you from having issues on your job site. That's where the friction is. That wasn't included, or that was included. And the more detailed you are, the more the less issues you're going to have. So as we kind of go through, like these things are all broken out, right? His bid before said plumbing for the bathrooms, and there was no number attached. This is broken out this way, where we need the same detailed. We're replumbing 3,800 square feet. That is the entire house. That's costing us 11,400. He's installing one tub shower trim kit, three shower kits. He's installing those for $150 each, and the material allowance on those is $300 and $500. And so now we have clarity in what he is installing it for, how many, and what the allowances are to purchase those items. He can't go to Home Depot and buy the $120 on sale ones that's going to affect the price on my property. And so these things have to be broken out with what they're being installed on. If you don't have your bids broken out by install rate and material allowance, that is totally okay. That's how we do it because we want to be kind of to a science on our quotes. But at worst case, you want to have them sign off on your spec sheet. So the spec sheets that we put together for you guys, or as you put them together, the contractor needs to at least sign off saying all spec pricing included in pricing. And again, that's that clarity because you don't want to show up to your house and think you're getting quartz countertops and you get low grade granite countertops and it changes the look. And so those are the things that we needed uh, to always make sure that it's in our quotes. The quote they sent us, not going to work. This is broken down. Like right here, electrical. We have wiring for new bathrooms, laundries, overhead lighting. He's rewiring 3,800 square feet of the entire house. So we know the house is 3,800 square feet, and he is rewiring the entire thing with a rewire. We also know that he's replacing our electrical panel. We know that he's not replacing our meter, but he is replacing our mast. And this clarity again will prevent the issues in change orders. He's trimming out all new switches throughout. Decor plugs, not regular switches. CO2 detectors, smoke detectors. He's getting paid $1 square foot to trim it out. Bathroom fixtures. We know he's putting in 3 of those. He installs those for 25 bucks. They're $100 each for the allowance. That's our number. We have to go find lights, or he has to go buy lights that are at least of $100 caliber, and we provide him with those specs. If he buys a cheaper light, that tells us we get 50 bucks back. If we pick a more expensive light and it's $150, we have to give him $50 more. And that's why there's no friction on the job site. And so again, you don't have to have them broken down by install and allowance, but you have to have the spec sheet at least signed off on.
James, can I ask a question?
Yeah, no, for sure, you guys.
So Nicole and I definitely did this for our last project, and we did run into a couple of issues. Like we had an accent wall listed there, and we had like fluted wood accent wall and the material cost and whatever. But then when it came down to actually install the accent wall, like we could not for the life of us find fluted wood materials that would result in the amount we had budgeted for. Like we did not budget enough in our like in this scope of work. I mean, they sent us a bid and they included a total amount for the accent wall, and they had just really under budgeted on it, so we didn't get to have an accent wall at the end of the day because even though it was in detail included in the scope, they just did not budget enough for it. There was no materials that were going to equal that total amount. So I think like I guess my question is like, do we technically have to kind of like know all of our finishes when we're creating this sheet? Because like if we had already picked out a fluted wood, we could have seen what the price per square foot was and built that into this sheet. But we didn't, so we got no accent wall.
Okay, so this is a great question. Let me actually pull up something I sent off to somebody because I just did the same thing, fluted wood, right? And how do you price that? Because the things that we want to focus on the allowances, guys, are the tangible items, which are light fixtures, appliances, garage doors, plumbing fixtures, um, types of those are items that you actually go physically buy. A door, right? There's a solid core, hollow core, 6 panel. Those are something we can go. That is $200. Now, millwork, that's a little tougher. We don't put in a material allowance on that. We put a very in-depth, detailed description, and I let my millwork guys bid that prior because that can range a lot. I'm actually gonna pull up a scope of work, you guys. I did for a contractor with the same thing, and I don't know, like you know what? It's fine. I'm kind of laughing about this because I don't know what that fluted would cost either. And what I can tell you, it can be pricey. Go to Wood Veneer Hub. Have you found them? It's Wood Veneer Hub is definitely.
We were just looking at one from like Home Depot.
Oh, that shit's expensive.
It was.
Yes.
Like the solution was that we ended up getting like an accent wall on the back side of the island, but we didn't get it on the full wall like we wanted.
And that's where, on stuff like that, you can't put a tangible amount, right? Because you don't know how much square footage you need. You don't know what that's going to cost. You don't know where they're going to get it from. That stuff that when we're walking the scope of work with the contractor, I say, this is my millwork design that I want. What do you think that's going to cost? And they quote it kind of accordingly because millwork's one of those harder things. It's like, if you're doing wainscoting, if you're doing fluted millwork, and then also it tells me whether my millwork guy is the right guy too, because he's like, well, I don't know where to get that from. Oh my gosh, I was trying to find this scope of work because I sent the same type of fluted wood to the contractor, and I sent him photos. I said, well, give me a quote with this design. And gosh, I don't know why. I'm trying to find this. And so that one, I would show them the design and have a bid off of because we don't want to measure square footage, right? Like with a window, we can say, okay, that's a window. We can do an average cost on that. Like some windows are going to be 250, some are going to be 350, and so we put a blended average of 400 for a white window. We know that black windows cost us about 20% more, so we add 20% to that number. And that's kind of how we come up with that budget. But we can't go piece by piece like it's like millwork's a hard one to do. You have to kind of show it because there's so many different variations and how much also wall coverage. It also depends on how tall your ceilings are. Where are you doing your break point? Um, it, there's so many things. And so I would show them the design when it's not a tangible thing that you go, I can buy this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we did. Like I totally gave them a design inspo PowerPoint with like photos and everything. So then who eats the cost on that at the end of the day when we're like, "Hey, we were signed off on this accent wall. You didn't budget enough for it. There's no materials that are going to add up to the amount you budgeted. So who's paying for it?"
So, oh gosh, I don't know why I can't find this email I sent down. Well, that's going to be on him if they signed off on the design, right? Because and that's the important thing about the description on the millwork is, oh my gosh, why can't I find this? Sorry, this is actually for my own house in Arizona, so it's a crew I didn't know very well, and I kept repeating myself with them, so I just wanted to make sure I was very, very clear. Um, and so I have it signed. So we put in a very, very thorough description of the millwork, where the millwork's going and gosh, I can't find it right now. I think it might be at my home computer because it's not work related. But then show them the inspiration they should sign off on it. That's going to be their cost. Like, because when they were looking at that, dude, because if they sent you to Home Depot anyways, that millwork guy doesn't even have a supplier because that's not where you go for that. Um, So when they quoted it, what did the description of work say? Did it say seller to provide materials, or why aren't they putting that included if they signed off on it?
Like we were to pick finishes, but materials were included in the budgeted amount. But then at the end of the day, they were like, "Yeah, like the accent wall you want, like it's not in budget." And we're like, "Well, you budgeted something for it, just not enough." So now,
So did they break it out with a line item, or is it just
yeah,
included in the millwork?
it was a line item. But then at the end of the day, we didn't get it because they said there wasn't enough budgeted for it, and we would have had to pay more to actually get the accent wall.
What did they quote for then? That's what my question to them is like. So what did you? We talked about the fluted. What did you quote for? And by the way, I'm putting in a really good resource for fluted wood and wood.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were having trouble finding something. We ended up going with something I think on we still got something from Home Depot, just like a cheaper material, but um they were like we had budgeted maybe $1,500 and then in materials. And the actual materials were gonna be like I think 3,000. And then they were like, oh, and also installation costs. And I'm like, but you've budgeted installation costs in your like total installation amount. So that should just be already accounted for.
Yeah, and there's little custom features like millwork. So like I I got a hard quote on my house before I accepted it, and I had them go through each room. So it was listed out like what millwork goes where, what the design was, and uh, we showed them photos, and I locked them into saying, "Hey, it's a firm estimate, it's a firm bid, and contractors provide no materials." So he verified that he could get those materials. That's on him at that point to find those materials. I guess my question is, why did you guys go to Home Depot? Because he should have just gone to a millwork supplier at that point.
I think that was just like kind of the end of the project. We were just trying to rushing to get it done
Yeah, and
situation.
the fluted, it's a little tricky because there's a lot of weird shit online too that doesn't look right. It's not really
Yeah.
fluted. It looks modern, like almost like the picture in the front that I just put in. But um, in my opinion, that should have been inside that scope. If he's installing all the millwork per customer's design, that's a good thing you always want to put in there. That locks him into and they're buying all materials, then he saw what it is. If it cost him more, that was his bad. Because he should have told us that at the beginning of the project and we could have adjusted the budget.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I don't want to hijack this whole presentation. Thank you
So,
for
I mean,
the insight.
but you guys, those questions are, this is the ones I want to ask during this call, right? We're going to go through a couple more examples because these are the things that get us all. And I will look for that scope of work that I sent out to him, if I can pull that up. But it's all in those details, right? Because the contractor is saying, hey, that wasn't included, but his quote, like, you don't happen to have his quote. Can you read it exactly for me?
I can pull it up. Like in chatting with my contractor too, like the actual project manager, he was like, yeah, he kind of always underbids. And I was like, oh, good to know.
Well, that's why it's important, like in our construction contract, it says like these are firm bids. Now, if the contractor calls me and he goes, hey, dude, look, I bid this out. I screwed this up. Here's the issue. This fluted wall, I didn't know it was going to cost this much. I've underbid this. I'm going to talk to him about that. I don't want to bury the guy, right? I'm gonna say, well, that's unfortunate because we talked about this prior. So what do you think the options are? Um, but typically he'd be like, all right, look, here's the real cost of this wood. It's over budget. I'll eat the install for free if you can cover the overages. Like there's gonna be some sort of trade on that, right? Because the guy made a mistake. I don't want to bury him with the whole bill, but at the same time, his mistake can't be just your problem.
Yeah, I think we were just trying to actually, like at the end, decide where to fight him on things and where to just let things go. Like they really didn't charge us any change orders. So there was things we didn't get, but there's extra things that we maybe would have had to pay for. So the accent wall, he had budgeted 1,200 in materials.
That's
It's low.
yeah. And so what
And it
I
was
would
a big wall.
typically what I do with my millwork on the accent walls and all that is I have them wrap that all into the millwork quote. So the millwork might be 12,000 for the house, and that includes all base case, door trim, headers, window trim, accent walls made out of fluted wood. So I get it all lumped in. But I just have a very detailed description because there isn't like a dollar amount you can put on that alone, right? Like we don't know where he gets his MDF from or what he gets his base from. We know what we need him to put in. Does it need to be MDF or does it need to be wood? But that's a harder thing to judge. Now, an interior door, I can say, hey, you have a budget of 210 per door because I know he can go get it for 185 at my source. And so I would kind of lump that in a little bit. But yeah, $1,200. Yeah, my question would have been like, so what materials were you quoting? Because 1,200 bucks for an accent wall probably is not going to cover it in general.
Yeah, I think now, I mean, to be fair, it was my first flip, but now that I have a better understanding of like actual finishes we could use and what the cost of things are, like that's stuff I'm going to pay attention to in future bids.
Yeah. And sometimes if like with that contractor, he might not know. And like next time I'd be like, all right, here's the deal. What's it to install it? I'll buy the materials for this accent wall. But yeah, and I actually don't think it's I wouldn't take that as your first flip. I think he just underbid it. But what you did say is the guy did some extra stuff and he didn't charge you one change order or he came out of it. So part of this might just be fair and he underbid it and he just was asking for some help on that. But most likely you could have stuck him with that bill. So you guys, as we kind of go through, and then I'm gonna kind of open it up. I want to know what questions you've had. I want to call out specifics, because there's always things that we get hit on. It's just really the wording, right? Um, ground level decks, right? A lot of what we have built in this is like, when we're calling out a scope for a deck, replace deck boards, railings, front porch and repairs. Elevated decks include all new decking, support posts, railings, front and back. We always want to make sure it's not just replace deck, right? So the more details we have, the better we're covered. Um, so as we kind of go through this, that's why I want you guys to kind of practice on these quotes, right? Because everything's kind of preloaded in there. And at the end of the day, even if there is vague, if we have the total square footage listed, it tells what's happening and not doing. Now, you guys, this can be invasive, like, especially in some more affordable markets, right? This is a lot for people to kind of go through, like, oh man, this is a lot of work. I got to figure out these install rates. You want your clarity down. What I added to this budget sheet and calculator about 4 months ago was the underwriting calculator for your construction. This will also get you in a much better spot than the bid that we were just looking at. So, install new kitchen, right? This is not clear enough. We could expand that out, but if we attach our scope of work with our budget sheet, we can kind of move this together, right? So this is kind of like our fast way of doing it. This has to be expanded out. Like if we use just our underwriting calc, this would need to be expanded out with that scope of work checklist, like HVAC. Okay, well, we have 10,250 in for HVAC. What does that cover? New furnace, new ducting, new trim out, uh, new baseboard heats, new venting. And when you pull up that scope of work checklist, you can kind of combo the two. So let's grab that scope of work comp one more time. So again, you guys, I'm just really trying to focus on clarity because every time I look at when people are running over budget, including my team, it's typically lack of clarity. So, because in theory, you guys should all be filling out that kind of budget sheet with that amount of detail. That is why I don't pay a ton of change orders unless we missed it. But if you don't want to go to that level, see, um, just had that sheet up. There we go. This is where, the HVAC that we just talked about. The underwriting calc kicked it out at 10,250. Well, you can attach this scope of work to be included in this price, right? So if we go to HVAC, it could say new furnace, new venting for kids, kitchen and hoods, venting for bathroom fans, gas piping for appliances, new firework insert, new mini split, new boiler and registers, AC. All these things, like you could take that underwriting calc number right here at the 10,250 based on kind of averages, check all the boxes for your scope of work, and then that's going to be your clarity that's behind that coverage inside that 10,250. So you don't have to break down every little detail on it, but we got to have a number on it, and there has to be the scope of work that's included. And so I was trying to simplify a little bit of a process for everybody of we have this construction calculator that you can build your own install rates in. You can put your own material allowances in. You can change the spec level on this to going, hey, I want this budget in here, this one in here, this one in here, this one in here. It gives you guys 4 different options to load in different types of pricing and materials in here. It then will put it into these, it combos it with the install rates and it creates the estimate for you. Now, again, this takes a little bit of time. It takes that market research. So when you're newer or you're working with a contractor that maybe this is too much for, we can pull this into the underwriting calc. We put in the same type of numbers in here, kicks out around the same estimate. It gives us more estimates, and then we're going to grab that scope of work list and we want to have them sign off on this pricing with that scope of work because that's how it's going to stay clear. We have to have all the items listed out and broken down by budget. So what I want to do right now, oh man, I thought I was just sharing my screen for you guys. You guys couldn't see anything that I was just doing, could you? Great.
Nope.
Hold on. Let me pull it up side by side one more time. Why isn't it even? There we go. So in the construction calculator, guys, the install rates, everything you're able to break this all out. Scope work. Zoom box is just getting in my way of everything right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's our scope of work checklist. I don't know why you guys, this is not letting me move the box every time I open it. There we go. So, the kind of two ways, I was trying to recap this because I wasn't showing this to you guys on the screen. We have this budget calc that we have the training video for. The best way to clear scope of work is to have a very, very detailed by line item, which you can do this way by interviewing the contractors about their install rates, then getting the material rates for your allowances, right? You're able to select your spec level throughout any project and you can load in a budget, a basic, standard, or premium. So it gives you 4 different price points for the deals that you're looking at. We adjust our allowances based on the comps and what we're selling into the market. Like in our budget kitchens, we have a budget of $5,500 because we pick a lower grade spec. And our normal kitchens, we're $7,500. A little bit more basic kitchen, still thrifty, still affordable. And our luxury, we have a $20,000 allowance for the kitchen cabinets. We know the install rate on our kitchen is roughly $150 a box, so we can break that out, right? So that's the most in-depth way to do it as you interview those contractors, like what we talk about Project Flip, getting that information, getting that kind of market rates and putting in. Now that does take time. On the budget sheet, though, you have your underwriting tab, which will give you a rough basic number on this property, right? So in here, I historically can go, okay, well, we renovate properties at roughly about $20 a square foot for our standard property. That's going to cover all our basic floors, millwork, cabinets, paint, tile, finishes, and trim out. It's going to give me a rough calculation. It's also going to break out the other things like electrical, plumbing, 2,000 square feet, $5 a foot on average, 10,250. Plumbing, 10,250. HVAC was about the same, 10,250 based on historicals. These numbers are too vague because it doesn't say what's inside this HVAC quote. The scope of work checklist, you could take your underwriting calc and attach it with, hey, I need a new furnace, I need new venting for my hood, new venting for my bathroom fans, and some gas piping to appliances. This will give you clarity inside that number. So now we know our HVAC is 10,250 and what is included. We then take our spec sheet and have them sign off on that as well. And you guys, one thing that you can do is if you don't have the specs already chosen, you can go to, for us, if we're doing a standard renovation on this property, we can just pull these specs right out here for the contractor to sign off on. Hey, contractor, in this bid that you're giving me, the scope of work with the checklist, the underwriting calculator, and you're going to attach that with these allowances going. And by the way, on the shower kit, you're going to be spending $500 per item on this. And so you can break it all down. And if you have those things clarified, that's how you stop with all the change orders. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of open it up. Who's had problems with quotes? Who's had problems with budgets? And what we really want to do is look at, okay, well, what were those problems and were they a you problem? Was it a clarity problem or was it a contractor problem? So who's had issues and what do we want to kind of cover on that? And you guys, I am going to do a step-by-step video on this new scope of worksheet and how I use the budget sheet as the underwriting, then how I attach that, and then attach my allowance sheet, and that goes out for my bidding package. So that will be coming out in the next week as soon as we get it loaded and edited up. No one's had any problems with bidding? You guys are all
Hey,
masters?
I
What's up,
got a little.
Travis?
Hey, James, good to see you.
How are you?
Good, good. So I got a project wrapping up here in a week or so. And what I did not include in my scope of work with my GC is landscaping, which is fine. I'm looking for a landscaper right now and I'm getting bids. And my quota is more related to making a decision on what makes the most sense. I'm over budget overall in the project, and I was considering just investing in new sod and some gravel for parking in the front.
Yeah.
There's a backyard as well that's not in great shape. But I don't want to overdo it. So I don't know. What's the best way to approach this?
So I think the first thing is what does the comps have as far as landscaping goes? And what are we currently looking at? I mean, so what kind of value are you going for on your property?
So it's a 1850 square foot in Bothell. The ARVs should be around like 980, something around there.
Okay, 980,000. And then when you're looking at the comps at 980,000, I mean, what are you seeing as far as and you guys, this is a really first thing is I don't like to give my generals my landscaping either because if they lump it in, it never quite looks right because they're trying to make money on it. So I think that's good you broke that out. Now it's about kind of clarifying right now what that we're working with. Do you have any grass in the yard now? Is it salvageable? Is it dead? What's currently going on with it?
There's some grass, but it doesn't look great. There's some mole issue in the back. And also, in addition to the mole issue, it's just not very thick. It's, yeah, it doesn't look that great.
Okay, so it's kind of bare.
It's bare, yeah.
Okay, and then so on the houses that are selling from 950 to 1 million, like when have you had your broker run you like a new fresh set of comps for yourself?
No, I should do that.
Okay, that's the first thing. Yeah, let's look at that right now because especially in today's market, we want to be picky about where we put our money and not. Because the good news is 980 Bothell, that's a pretty good selling price point right now. Like 1.2 in Bothell, not so good. 900 to a million, a lot better.
Mm.
And so we want to go, how dialed in are these comps though? Like, because it also might be that maybe they don't have that nice of grass, but they have some paver patios and people really value that. And we want to pick the right scope of work. So let's have the most recent sales in that price range sent to us, and then we can kind of create that scope off that. If the yards aren't dialed in, I would almost seed the backyard, water it, and let people know that's happened, and then focus a little bit still on that curb appeal though, because I still
Hmm.
want to be able to pull up and pop it. Now, if everything's selling with amazing backyards that's trading fast, because that is kind of a younger family neighborhood,
Hmm.
that might be a big factor for that buyer going, I can put my kids out in my yard right away. And so we want to look at what the comps have. I'm guessing it's usually a coin toss. Like sometimes they're really dialed in. Sometimes like a lot of flippers I know too, I like look at their landscape, I'm like, that looks terrible, but it works. And so we just want to narrow that scope off those comps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at some comps earlier today, and most were fairly good, which makes me think I should do something. But I'm already a bit over budget, so I don't want to spend a ton on the backyard.
You can
Um,
also hydro seed it on the
hmm.
backyard because that's a lot cheaper. It's like 14 cents a square foot.
Yeah.
And then it starts, and honestly, with the sun, if you water that thing heavy, it'll start growing in right away. But it also has a green, and so people know that the grass is coming in. And so I personally like hydro seeding over because it kind of puts a little layering on it, and it will
Hmm.
come in kind of quick. And those are things too, like we always want to think about, like because as we're going over budget, if I had sod in my budget, I'm going, okay, a couple weeks before, I'm going, scrap the sod. Let's get this thing prepped now, start the landscaping. I'm gonna blast the hydro seed in and water it. So at least by the time I get to market, I'm gonna be fairly green.
Yeah.
Um, but let's look at the comps to see how dialed. I don't want you to go undercut it either. And then
Yeah.
if the yards are nice, go with sod. If they're okay, hydro seed the front, and then I would pop the front more with fresh green grass
Yeah.
and some plants.
Okay. Uh, Second question, real quick. The the furnace is like 16 years old, and I think I just need to replace it, but I haven't yet, and it wasn't a part of the scope with my contractor. I do have a bid, or just like a rough bid for $5,000 to $6,000. I think I just need to do it.
That's
But I
expensive
also
for a furnace, though.
That's expensive for a furnace,
That's really is it just a gas furnace?
electric.
Electric, that should be like 3,500 bucks.
Okay, got it.
Um, because how big you said it's a 19 8, no, it's a 8, you said how big?
18, 1850,
18? That should be about a $3,500 swap out on the furnace.
including labor, huh?
Yep.
Okay, well that seems worth it. For one less hurdle for a buyer. So
Yeah, I think sometimes 16 years old, if it was around like 10, 11, I would maybe leave it and just see if they call it, or it's it could be like, I mean, I will say right now, you guys, buyers love to lowball. Like they love coming in real low. It doesn't matter it doesn't even matter what it is. They're just sending low offers right now. I don't blame them. But sometimes I've been opting to not replace that because it's not going to make or break my deal. Like if it comes up on my inspection, I can replace it.
mm,
But if someone's trying to grind on me, I would say, hey, look, you're going to take it as is, where is on this. Do your pre-inspection. You're getting this much off the price. This is it. And so some of those items I've been holding back because it doesn't, it's not like going to make or break the deal a lot of times because you can always replace the furnace. But then I want to make sure the rest of my house is very buttoned up.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is everything that they're gonna see is gonna look great, and they're gonna fall in love with it. But then they're gonna see, oh, the furnace is 17 years old, and so I can use that as a negotiation if I need to, or I should just do it and eliminate, so there's nothing to stop them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on that one right now in today's market.
Right.
16 is pretty old though.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's again, if it was like hot water tank 10, 11, I've been holding back on those furnaces 10, 11 because they're about a 10-year shelf life, according to inspectors at least. That I've been trying to keep in my back pocket because it doesn't, what you guys, in today's market, it's just the time of the market, right? Like in if I'm rolling out in the early spring, I know it's red hot. I want to make sure that buyers can go, I love this house. I don't need to do a pre-inspection. Everything's been done. It's broken down. I can see it all. That's going to make them get aggressive on it. But what I have found right now is when buyers are opportunistic, it doesn't matter if you've done it all, they're still going to hit you low. And so, there's a house right now that we have listed, and the furnaces are definitely 13 years old. Two furnaces, big house. They're in working shape. And I was like, just don't touch them for now. If someone asks for a discount, then we're gonna say, hey, you're taking these things as is where is, because then they're not spending the money and getting lowballed.
Mhm. Okay.
But 18 is old. Get more quotes though. Five,
Okay.
6 is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty. Pretty.
Hey James, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Uh, yeah, just trying to get everything done. Uh, I had a question about the listing price actually. Uh, so I did fire my previous uh agent, and I have a different agent now, who I'm working with. But the issue that I'm having is like I am already a lot over budget, and this agent actually wants to list it like 10K below our original ARV. And I'm like not convinced that it should be that price. But yeah, I'm not sure because I mean, I want to respect the fact that he is the listing agent and he knows the market better than me. But I also don't want to just leave money on the table and suffer because I'm like extremely over budget on this.
Okay, so and I will say, you guys, the price should be the price no matter what. If our goal is to move this thing quickly, or the attempt to, but sometimes we can push a little bit. But things, I got to know a little bit more information about like if we're gonna push it or not. Um, what was the suggested list price from the broker?
So my original ARV that me and the other agent were thinking about was 560, and this guy is talking about 550.
Okay, and okay, I see what. And he also saying that because he said like 550 is kind of the sweet spot at the financing side.
No, he's actually telling me that we are pushing it at 552, and I'm like, how is that? How are we pushing it at 550? Is there's a property that sold like a couple months ago, in Spring Market actually, uh, but it sold for 534, and it does not have a garage, and we have a like a 600 square feet garage.
Okay, good sized garage. So what comps is he using to establish that 550 number or his baseline?
He is using the same comps as me, but he is saying the market is weird right now, and like five, like we're 550 also he's not very confident at.
Okay, so 550 he said it's weird right now. What does weird mean though? Like weird doesn't tell me any answers, right? Like kind of what we talked about in that call, breaking down the data and what's selling, what's not selling. Um, what does weird mean? Like, is it nothing selling? Like, how many homes have sold in the area that have been priced between 540 and 570, or between 525 and 575?
We don't have that many active listings in the area in this price point. Actually, we might be the highest listing in this area right now. We have the rest of the active listings are like 2 1s usually, and like 7 to 800 square feet houses, and ours is like 10 30 square feet. So they are listed all below 500. Like
Okay,
it,
so but his job is to get us data.
Mhm.
There has to be some house that we can like as a broker, even if I don't have comps in my area, I can go look at I can always come back to my client and go, hey, this is what I think it's worth this, and this is why. And like I was looking at actually on the show today, filming. I was going over comps with Amanda, and there is zero comps for the house that we bought. None. But I had a value, and I could, as a broker and as an investor, I can go, okay, this is what this is worth based on I have 5 data points. They are not the same house. There's a renovated house that was way bigger that sold for $1 million more than what we're targeting. Then there was a fixer house that sold for 1.8 million and we're trying to get 2.2.
Mhm.
Then I went outside into other neighborhoods and found homes on smaller lots that were of similar size that maybe had a little bit of a view, but we have a view and acreage in this cool mid-century house. So there's some trade-offs for me there. And I can look at that house and go, okay, well, that's the same size house. That one sold for 2.1 million. We have a bigger lot, we have a famous architect, and we have a peekaboo view, and they have a really cool view. And so their cool view I can trade off for my architecture, my size of lot and location. And so that made me feel very confident on my price at 2.2 million because that one sold for 2.15 and it wasn't all the way dialed in because I even though I didn't have a comp, I could look at the benefits of our amenities and swap it against a different amenity and feel good about it as a broker trying to sell it.
Okay.
He has to have some comps. Like there has to be now when he's using the same comps as you, but there has to be recent data points in the market because you were talking about the comps are from the spring. So what has sold in the last 60 days that is similar bed bath count, similar square footage with the garages in a similar proximity, right? Even if it's not in our same neighborhood, what other neighborhoods are similar that things are selling for? There just
Mhm.
has to be one that you guys, there is all, no matter what people say, there is always a comp, some way, shape, or form for a house.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, the problem is this pocket is like the lower priced pocket. The moment you go like a little bit north, it gets to like a very expensive neighborhood. And then also on the right, it's like very expensive neighborhood. So we are in this little pocket of area where we don't have like a lot of active comps right now, which are similar. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of where we are running that. I can share the comps that he sent me for active and
Yeah, why don't we pull them up? But honestly, I think you hired the wrong person again. I just, you guys run away from a broker that can't tell you a value on something. Our job as brokers is to know the value or at least be able to interpret the value of what your home's worth. Saying the market's weird isn't an answer. That's, hey, the market's slow, inventory's increased, days on market have increased, and the absorption rate in our mile radius has fallen to by 20%. That's weird. Saying it's weird is not weird.
okay.
And so why don't you share the comps real quick? Let me just take a quick look at them.
Yeah. Uh,
And you guys, especially in a slow market, having the right broker negotiating on your behalf is very, very important because they have to have confidence in their price. And my concern is with anybody trying to sell a house of mine, if they can't figure out the value, then how are they going to explain it to somebody else? And so, okay, so this house right here, 560.
yeah, so this actually sold last year for 560, and this is like the closest comp that we have that we were going off of originally, that because it's almost the same year, square
Okay, but
footage,
that's a year old. I
everything.
don't care about that right now.
Yeah.
So we'll throw that out. Then we have
Um,
529. So that has 4 parking total. What's the story on this one right here? So it's a 2 bed, 2 bath.
it is a two bed. It is 1,000 square. Sorry, it is 100 square feet more than ours, and it doesn't have a garage, but we have like a oversized 600 square feet garage.
Okay, so typically, what is that broker saying the value of a garage is in that neighborhood?
He is saying 15 to 20K.
That's it in Colorado?
That's what I was surprised at because I actually talked to a broker before for a different property which didn't have a garage, and he told me about 30K for a garage. So,
Yeah, I would think it's worth at least 5% more there, would be my thought. 15 to 20 grand's like what an appraiser puts a value on things for. So he's
mm,
kind of using the appraiser rules at that point. Okay, so we have one at 534, no garage, missing a bedroom.
yeah, and also the bedrooms are like really small. Like one is basically like doesn't even look like a bedroom actually.
Okay, we don't need to look at the photos. We want to look at the data. That's the important, you guys, we don't want to get distracted by the shiny stuff right now. We want to look at the act. That's what the brokers do. Um, okay, so then we have a 529 that closed in March. So none of these comps are even inside the last 90 to 120 days.
Yeah,
What actives are there? There has to be some actives in the area.
yes, he did send me the actives also. Uh, let me uh,
And so there's only been 3 sales in the last year above 500 grand in this neighborhood.
yeah, and in exactly like 2 and the same square footage. So all the actives that he sent me, he said it's all at least like 200 square feet less than ours, and all have one bedroom, or sorry, one bathroom. So they're 2-1 instead of 2-2.
Okay, so this is what we want him to do. We need comps within the last 90 days. He's saying that the market's weird, so that means that the market's not similar to the what the comps are from the past that he sent off.
Mm-hmm.
He has to get us some sort of data points in the last 90 days to justify his price one way, shape, or form. Because what he's just doing is going, well, these sold at this price. Now the market's slowing down, so it's worth less.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to use assumptions. And I would really question this guy's ability if he can't find you actives and pendings and solds that are similar in similar areas.
Okay.
Because I can't interpret his comps because I'm not in that market,
Mm-hmm.
but I can ask for the data that will help me interpret it. And right now, the data he's giving you is this doesn't work.
Okay. So what exactly should I ask him to get like to a solid price point?
He needs to give us comps in the last 90 to 120 days. That's when the market kind of started cooling. And he
Okay.
needs to give us properties in similar neighborhoods, close proximity as ours,
Mm-hmm.
with the same parking situation going on. I would say the 2 bed, 3 bed, 1,000 square feet. I don't know if that's going to move the needle much or vary it much on the house,
Mm.
but let's at least get homes that sold between 900 square feet and go all the way up to 1,300 square feet with some garages. And
Mm.
what's active, what's pending, what's our competition. Now, if these are our only solds and everything's active at 499, but you're saying they're different, then I can't really, then I have to adjust that based on condition, upgrades, and garages space. But he has to be able to find these. He didn't go out very far. These are all close to you, which is great, but
Yeah.
we have to interpret, like if I can't find a comp inside my neighborhood that I'm in, I'm going to go to similar neighborhoods in the area, or even comp into lesser neighborhoods to see if I can find a comp there. But we need more recent data because he gave you old comps and said the market's weird with no justification of the pricing.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask him to. find something in at least like similar neighborhoods and
Well,
find something.
I mean, my response to the broker would be like, well, you just said the market's weird. Why are you sending me comps to just set the price from when the market wasn't weird?
Mm,
And so let's get some clarity on what's going on there.
okay.
Like the market's slow where we are right now, just like Colorado, most markets nationwide. But there's certain price points that, we sold 3 houses over the weekend. You guys, the market is picking up, by the way. Since the Fed came out and talked, there has been a change. We sold 4 houses this weekend,
Wow.
and 2 of them were like the more affordable price points. And I remember actually my team was like, "Oh, I don't know, it's a little." I'm like, "Guys, this is fine. We're good value, blah blah blah," and it sold first weekend, and it was
Mm,
550 as well. Kind of similar type of neighborhood, I think, too, but more Seattle based. So we want to know, yeah, and then the information that I went over on our call the other day.
mhm.
I want you to listen to that call, write down those points of what we want, and have them send that to you.
Okay.
Like, what's the absorption rate? What's the active inventory? What's our competition? What's days on market? Because that sets the tone.
Okay. Yeah. He did say that the days on market in this neighborhood has been low overall, except for these houses that have only one bedroom that are sitting on the market.
So they're selling fast.
I mean, all of these, the comps have actually sold fast. Like most of them have like
But those are
three,
different
3
market
days.
comps.
Yeah, that is the
So
issue.
I mean, we have to get the current data. So like, let's have him go bring that, and then we can look at that information and interpret it really well.
Okay.
Because if not, just go with the price you were going to go with. Because she's not telling me anything different at this point, or showing me anything that tells me the price is different.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to get some more data and then, yeah, based off of that, we can
Well, you're
go.
not going to try. You're going to tell them what you need. I
Yep.
need this information.
Okay.
And if you can't get it, where'd you find this broker?
He actually worked with Tyler and Zosia, so I actually know him from them. He's their broker for all their flips.
Okay, so he should know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Sometimes brokers too. Is he listing some of Tyler's properties right now?
Nah, Tyler has stopped flipping. His last property just sold like a couple months ago. He's not flipping anymore.
He quit flipping?
Yeah, he said that was his last flip. He's just gonna do client remodels now.
What? Huh. I have to give him a ring. Uh, and part of the reason I think he might have quit is honestly, I don't know if his broker was that good at evaluating deals.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I know he got hit a couple of kind of expensive properties with some negative impacts we were talking about. I'm like, yeah, I don't really mess with expensive if it's got negatives. But
His
yeah,
last one was actually pretty good. I think it sold like 110K over asking and in the first weekend.
it was that recent or
Yeah, that was like I want to say 2 months ago or something is when he sold his last flip.
oh, cool. Yeah, Tyler and Socia, they're great. I really
Yeah.
like both of them. But hey, tell the broker what you need. You said the market's weird. You got to get me comps in your weird market,
Okay.
and then we can really look at it from there. Because other than that, we're just kind of gut checking it. I'm not in that market, so I can't gut check it as hard.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
When?
Hi, how's it
Oh,
going?
good. How are you?
I'm good. I had a construction question. I'm under contract for a house. It's in Georgia
Okay.
and it has low ceilings. So I'm having inspection tomorrow, but I beat them down pretty hard on the price, but I want to see if there's I don't know how you raise ceilings. So, and I know that
Uh,
you've done them on a lot of projects, so I wanted to see what your methodology was. And then like per your, what you're talking about tonight is how do you price that? How do you get a bid on it?
Yeah, so framing's one of those hard ones too, where you got to kind of
Mhm.
like eyeball. Is there any way you can pull up a picture of the house?
You can't see anything. It looks completely normal. It doesn't look like it has low ceilings.
I just want to see the roof line though. That could tell
Well,
us. Or do you have the
okay.
address I could pull up?
Yeah, it's 895 West Schmidt, which is SCHMITT
Uh,
Road.
395.
I know 895.
Oh, 895.
Mm-hmm.
West S S Smith Road.
Schmidt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rossville, Georgia. And it's 30741.
All right, let's look at this, you guys. I want to look at some indicators.
I mean, I'm gonna go look this next weekend, so I'll be able to go up in the attic. But I haven't done that before, but I know you've done it. So I just thought, well, okay, let's see what you have to say.
Yeah, there's a couple things that kind of go into that decision making too.
Mm-hmm.
First thing
I
is,
mean,
which,
it's a little cheap rental. It's not like, this is nothing fancy. This
yeah,
is just going to be a rental.
so your door heights are basically at 7 feet. It's like kind of right above that.
Maybe. My agent says he's thinking it's a little less than 7.
Yeah, it might be like 6'8".
Okay.
Okay, so first thing we want to do is like on this house, and everyone can see the photo, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this house, the good thing about what we can see here is we have a vault on the ceiling. There's kind of two things that are going to make that do that. If it's trusses or stick framed.
Yeah, it was built in 52.
So it should be stick frame, not trusses,
Okay.
which is good. If it's trusses, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to cut into those. It's going to cost you a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Stick frame is something because it's kind of framed up. You can actually do something called a collar tie. This is kind of an affordable way to do it.
Okay. Collar top
And
is like the ceiling joist. Is that what
yeah,
you
I'll pull up a picture of what a collar tie is.
Okay.
Um, because we want to see what's catching the loads on this house. Because in
Mhm.
sometimes there's some cases where, to be honest, like you can look up there and go, oh, the beams are all there. We can almost just rip it out in it because there's no load. Now in this house, I don't think that's going to be the case. Um, oh my
So
gosh.
the load isn't bearing on the wall?
Because it kind of depends on like where you can vault some depending on how the framing is, whether it's done
Mhm.
with 2x10s or 2x12s running up. You can sometimes if I have a ceiling that's vaulted up and there's a drop ceiling, if they're all running 2x12s over, there's a good shot if it's not a big house, not a big span, that I can actually bring that all the way up almost. Because
Mhm.
the joist of the ceiling is going to be holding a lot of the structure. And I always verify that with an engineer. Um, what I'm trying to look at right here, there is a couple.
Those are outbuildings there. Like since it was built right after the war, like I've done like 4 houses there,
Uh,
and like the wood, it's not like okay 2x8s and all this.
yeah, it's
And
a
you're lucky to get a 2x6,
y-
you
yeah,
know.
I'm with you. You got like a 2x4 old almost, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so the cheapest way to do this, um, okay, holding this up right now. Can you still see my screen?
yeah,
Okay. So you guys, a collar tie is a way. So right now, your ceiling is kind of at this bottom part right here in
yeah,
this picture. A cheaper way. So the more you take this out, like if you had to vault this in because you have that kind of older bomb shelter framing, which trust me, I do a ton of houses just like that. I never really want to vault it because those are like 2x4, 2x6s running through, and that's going to require a ton of lumber. Taking that out, rerunning 2x12s all the way up your whole ceiling is going to be very, very expensive.
yeah. It doesn't make sense for this house. I'm just trying to see if there's some cheap way to get like another 6 inches to make it, sort of normal.
Yeah, the because running each one of those 2x12s can get expensive. But what you can do though is you can actually do something. This is the collar tie where you actually, instead of bolting the whole thing, it runs straight over. And this costs a lot less because they're just running spans of 2x10s all the way through.
Mhm.
And so typically what I do in a low ceiling house is I'll kind of focus on the main areas to get them taller, and then I'll leave
Yeah.
the bedrooms a little bit lower.
Right. That was what they were suggesting. It's like, okay, do the living room, and possibly the kitchen, and the rest of it is, tolerable. It's a rental. And I think the ceilings in the two of the bedrooms are, more normal also.
Yeah, and if it's just or so you're not buying this to resale, you're buying for a rental.
Yeah, I'm just looking for somewhere to park my money that's not 3%. You
That
know?
bit that bit works. Have you looked at hard money yet? It pays you 10 to 12. Um,
Eh, well, no. Someone had suggested that, but I'm more of a doer.
you know,
I know
it's
this market, so I
well,
mean,
and
this
there's
house
good
is like
buys right now.
100 grand, and there's
Yes.
there's not a house for 100 grand right now. So
No, yeah, there's opportunities out here right now. So
yeah,
one thing that I've done also, I had a house I sold in Kenmore, and we put a ton of money in this house, and this house was a pile of crap when I bought it. Like I did not realize how bad it was until I got inside. I
had
was like,
those.
oh shit, this is bad.
Oh.
And so what we did though is the ceiling height was really low. So I collar tied a section where you walked in, which
Mhm.
kept it lower. But the ceiling, the house was like an original 50s bomb shelter, and then they had an add-on over here, and then that was really low, like what you're talking about. And so
Mhm.
things that we do that was a cheap way of fixing it is we actually installed three 4x4 skylights in the ceiling. And it
Mhm.
actually opens up way more natural light and makes it feel way taller. I'm gonna pull a
Do you
picture of
do that
that.
in that type of roof truss situation? Even though it's not trusses, you're saying, how do you do that?
So they put the skylight in, they just frame it straight down, so you have this big
Oh,
opening and it's all
gotcha.
drywall straight up. And
Mm-hmm.
so it still gives it the tall feeling, but it doesn't
Hmm.
cost nearly as much.
So you're not vaulting it, you're just raising it to a certain height and then putting a skylight in.
Oh, we don't raise it at all in that section.
No.
So we're
Oh,
leaving it
okay.
where it is. We just added
Mm-hmm.
in like three skylights, and we actually put one in the
Okay.
primary bedroom too at the end of the bed down because
Mm-hmm.
that was also low.
Okay.
And your typical skylight's going to cost you maybe like 400 or 500 bucks to put in with framing, drywall, and skylight.
Mhm.
And so
Okay.
it makes it feel a lot brighter. It feels
Right.
taller, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not moving the ceiling around because you don't have to do any framing besides framing that skylight through.
Right. Okay.
Um, I'll show you what it looks like. And honestly, it really does. It's like a small tweak that can make a big impact, especially
Mm-hmm.
in a rental. And we sold this house for $1 million, and I was really concerned. I was like, wow, I really kind of messed this thing up. It honestly, you guys, it was a tear down. It should have been torn down, but we fixed it. Um, and we sold it and it was fine. But let me pull it up. But
So
there's
there's no
always
way to
comps
like,
for 1-1,
take.
so we sold it for a discount because the low ceilings.
Right, yeah. So there's no way to like take the drywall out and then like turn like reuse the wood and turn the beams. You know what I mean? Have you ever done that?
That's
Yeah.
where you start messing with structure with some old
Uh-huh.
wood that gets a
Okay.
little. I'd rather put the skylights in.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Um,
So that's your go-to cheap solution.
yeah, I mean, and
Uh,
sometimes you can like that ceiling I was just looking at in your kitchen. That might be
is
a
the
little bit of a
kitchen that
drop.
could totally work in the kitchen. I could see that. Yeah.
Let's see, but there's no real cheap way to do it unless there's like almost like a false ceiling, or sometimes if there's
Right.
ducting hanging low, we swap to cadets and rip the ducts out.
The ducting's all under the house. That I do know.
God, that's so weird. It's so low.
I know. I don't know. Like,
And you never know. They could have that asbestos acoustic tile above that. And so sometimes they'll just float drywall because they have the asbestos acoustic below it. And so you knock out your drywall and it gets you. And so definitely look in the attic because sometimes there's
oh
just a
yeah, I'm
second
going
layer.
there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um, okay, for some reason this is freezing
But
up.
I mean, I'm getting the formal inspection tomorrow, so I'll get to talk to that guy too and see what's up.
You see, yeah, if it's a rental, okay, here we go. because this is definitely one of those 50s bombshell houses that you're talking about.
I
Uh,
mean, there's the majority of the housing stock there was built right after the war.
yeah, yeah, ours are in the 30s is when they're a lot that way.
Yeah. No, this is like 40, 45 to like this one, 52. There's just a ton of houses there that are just like that.
Yeah, so as you can see, so this house here, when you came in, the ceiling height was at this piece right here at the bottom.
Okay.
So vaulting it would have cost me about double. But then so what we did is it came up and then we caught this lid over with 2x10s all the way through. And so it gave us a lot taller ceiling in this corner without spending a ton of money.
So you sort of like half vaulted it in a way?
Yeah, because you don't have to go all see like in this house, when you look at the outside, we could have gone all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
But we were gonna have to install 2x10s all the way through that ceiling joist, and it was gonna cost us about triple, 3 to 4 times more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing I was considering is like, could you do it, like what I'm looking at, it looks like that you've done, you do it like a couple, foot or so up, like foot and a half, right? Or something.
Yeah,
And
because you're not framing this section. This is
yeah.
already the roof line. You're just framing it
Mm-hmm.
over this way. So we took out the
Right.
bottom piece and then we caught the load all the way through. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
not dealing with a big house, it's not that much lumber.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not a big house. It's like 1080.
Yeah, and this house was not big too. It was like 900 on the top floor.
Okay.
And then these ceilings here were really low. You can see it's the same as what you have going on. See that?
Right.
And honestly, these skylights made a world of difference in
Mm-hmm.
this ceiling.
Yeah, I like that solution for the kitchen.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive.
Uh-huh.
And just go with a little bit bigger ones. It makes it feel
Yeah.
bright, airy. And I call this a faux pas. We put it over the bedroom because it's like and then we installed like someone could shut it, but
Okay.
then our primary bedroom was really tight too. And I'm like, these are bad spaces. But so by adding this in, honestly, we sold it in 3 days for
Uh-huh.
20K over list.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been in houses where they've done that. I just didn't really realize that maybe that was the solution. Okay. So that's easier to get a quote on than just like framing then.
Way easier because then they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to get a structural engineer. It's just because they're just going to run two by
Right.
tens all the way through. Or two.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then you just get a bid, okay, installation on a skylight, materials and then,
Yep.
labor.
Yeah, framing, drywall, and have them take it all the
Right.
way through finish.
Okay. And then, I mean, are you ever concerned about like the roof leaking? You
As
know,
long as they install and flash it right,
yeah,
it's
okay.
good. I mean, yes, when they
So much
skylights get
water
well,
there,
and
but
that's why
you
I
have
like
so
doing
much water
glass
too.
over
Yeah.
plastic.
Uh-huh.
The glass costs a little bit more, but they leak a little bit less too.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so you just want to make sure that they completely flash that thing correctly.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
the flashing is not hard, it's a matter of whether they do it right or not, is what it comes
Uh-huh.
down to.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like, yeah, that little drips that come on. But
Uh-huh. Yeah. Then it's completely ruined. Yeah. Okay. All
but
right. Well,
yeah,
that's
look, I love me some skylights. I jam those things in all the time. Like it fixes a lot of.
okay. Well, I kind of like the half vaulting idea too, because that would totally work in the living room, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's literally what we did because I did get
Mhm.
quotes to vault, and which I was like that would have been cooler, but it was so much cheaper. It's because
Yeah.
it's like your living room's probably what 300 square feet ish in the house.
Ish. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. It's not a lot.
So you probably have to install like maybe 10 2x10s all the way across. The
Mm-hmm.
cost of a 2x10 is not that expensive. Um,
Okay.
and so that would
Well,
be the
then,
cheapest.
yeah. But then how do you get a quote on that aside from materials then?
Well, a contractor should be able to just frame that for labor. I mean, because labor wise, like if you had two guys out there, they can frame that in one day. That's for sure.
Right. Okay. And then just
And
drywall and
so
paint then. Okay.
um, I would almost have a contractor just come bid it at your inspection. Say, this is what I want to do. I'm going to raise the ceiling, put in the 2x10s all the way through because they
Mhm.
do have to adjust the electrical up, do all those things. So check the electrical too, because if it is old, it could cost you to rewire the ceiling too.
Yeah. I mean, there's just those old dome lights in there. I think there's like one.
And which is okay if, as long as there's Romex running to it. If it's like knob and
Yeah.
tube, which I think it looks like it has Romex.
Yeah, I don't think it's knob and tube, but there was some weird placement of the switches that the agent did tell me. So I don't know
Okay.
what that means.
That means they kind of weekend warrior their electrical. So I bet you
Okay.
some of it's knob and tube and some of
Uh,
it's a
you know,
mixture.
I've never encountered that in any of the ones that I've done, and they've all been that same vintage. So, well, I guess I'll
But
see tomorrow.
are they all plaster typically?
No, no, it's drywall. There it's usually, they've upgraded it to drywall or it's been paneling.
Okay.
Like
There's
the wood paneling was kind of popular back in the day there.
Yeah, and they might have just honestly fixed some of the wiring. Not, I mean, I actually, it's funny that you say that. I'm literally looking at one of my switches in this unit that I live in when I'm in town, and we rewired most of it, but not all of it, because it had like 50s wire in it. And one of my switches, it drives me bonkers in my hallway. It's the old original one, and then our new ones are at height, and they're off by
Uh-huh.
a foot.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
like,
oh
why
my
is
God, it
this
drives me
like,
nuts. And I'm like,
uh-huh.
that should just
Unless it was short people built this house and then they made the switchers lower. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the older the house, the lower the switch. Or sometimes they're really tall, but I mean, just I would.
Yeah,
Those are
that's true.
always indicators like, hey, let's make sure there's not something going on inside the walls. And with the
Well,
collar time, there's so many things that can go on inside the attic. I like to get a quote.
okay.
That's because I could, if I was going to budget it myself, I'm going, okay, well, what do I have to do? I got to demo the whole ceiling. That's probably like
Right.
$1,000.
Okay.
Then
Oh,
I
so
would price
get that
out.
in the quote too, the demo. That's right. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
Gotcha.
because
Okay.
and then there's also going to be new insulation up there.
Right. Okay.
And
If there
so
is any insulation. Last house
that's
I had
true.
didn't have any.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
that definitely could be the case too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at right now and we do 12 footers, what I like to do is go, okay, well, a 12-foot 2 by 12, which would be fine. Those are those are $45 each. $45. Each one of those is
Okay.
$45, right? So
Right. And
for
you're
that
saying
span,
about
so
how
if I got to
many?
put in
10?
10, my material cost is like $500 plus
Mhm.
brackets. It's probably like another 100. And then I'm going, okay, well, that's two guys at $50 an hour or
Right.
whatever framers go for in that location. I'm guessing 50 in Georgia in that area is probably good
Yeah. I mean, things are more expensive there than you would think. Yeah.
because there's less people sometimes.
Um, no, it's just it's a popular market and a lot of people from California are over there. So, it's not, it's not the Midwest.
It, you know what? I've even heard Midwest sometimes pricing, and they're like, yeah, there's just not enough people, so they cost more.
Yeah, well, there is that, but but it's the South, and there's just, I don't know if there's more crappy contractors per square foot there, but it seems like it. I don't know.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Uh, but so if I looked at that and go, okay, well, I got two guys, and let's say I pay them $100 an hour, which is a great rate,
Hmm.
and it takes them 8 hours. My labor cost is gonna be $1,600. My material cost is 600. So for the framing, I'm at like 2,100. Then the
Hmm.
drywall is probably like 3,000 for that lid, 2 to 3,000, and then insulation
Okay.
of like $500 up there. And then electrical, you probably have 1,000. And it's probably gonna be like a four. So that's you guys. That's how I kind of break it down a lot of times. If I don't know what the cost is, I'm going, okay, well, what's a framer cost an hour? $75.
Okay.
Well, if I put it at 100, that's pretty safe.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then what I do know is that probably won't even take them 8 hours. So if I plan for 8 hours at their rate, and then I'll price out the materials directly, because the materials you guys are a lot cheaper than we think sometimes. Like beams. People are like, oh, it's $5,000 for this beam. I'm like, that beam costs $700 at the store.
Hmm.
And so I'll kind of break it down that way. And then
Okay.
that will give me the ballpark. But it is a lot of work. And so sometimes people bid that a little higher. And so I would try to get a bid for raising that ceiling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously more than one.
Yeah,
Like
more than
at
one.
least three.
Yeah. Or at least get one so you know what your baseline is. And then if you beat
Yeah.
it,
Hmm.
it's all wins.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then like that quota, like in the kitchen, like the skylight thing, I think that totally works in there because it's a small kitchen. I mean, you get one skylight in there and it's gonna totally change the thing.
Yeah, and I honestly, it almost looks like two would fit really well in there and it will really change it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Low ceiling houses, guys. The good thing about low ceiling houses, you get your buys on them. The bad thing is they're low ceiling houses. So
Yeah.
people don't like them as much.
Well.
But you guys, it's like a basement, like a dark basement. Sometimes you guys, when I have low ceilings in my dark basements, I will pay extra to put an egress window in. And it costs me a little bit more because it's a bigger window. I got to cut it a little bit. But the natural light that comes in makes my ceiling feel so much taller in the basement. And so natural light is a great way to make spaces feel taller.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
congrats on the penny. That's cheap. I like the price point.
Well, considering they started at 125.
Yeah. Well, and you know, whatever your bid is, the math's got to work out. And if it doesn't work on your cash flow, then hit them for a discount.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
my inspector is like, no, we're gonna beat them hard. I'm like, okay, let's go.
There you go. And you know what? He might even know a framer too. He's like, hey,
Yeah,
but
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's what my agent was saying. Like, ask him if you've got like if you want to do some contractor work because other than it doesn't really need a lot.
no, and
It's not
some
like the
what you're
usual
describing,
trash.
sometimes like the handyman guys are the best guys for those.
Yeah,
They're just out. It's like when I hire a handyman on labor to build my fences are actually a lot cheaper than hiring a fence company.
right. Okay.
It's but then if I have that guy do all my millwork, it costs me double because it just takes too long.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, that's a more specialized deal, I feel like, millwork, you know?
yeah, it's
Like
kind
it's a
of
skill.
yes, it's a
It's not
skill.
a
Whereas this is
nailer,
like tear it
nailer in
out and
hand.
slap some beams in and put some brackets on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool. Well, good luck on the purchase.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Guys, any more questions? Well, again, you guys, I apologize for being late. Just the service thing. And then what I'm going to be doing is watch the loaded video. I'm going to take a mock budget, put it in the underwriting calc, so it's a little bit easier for people to calculate a rough budget. And then I'm going to fill out the scope of worksheet based off the photos, attach those two, attach the allowance page, and then that's my bidding procedure for that contractor. So again, if the regular budget sheet seems a little too intense, this is a much simpler way to do it. I still do the more intense way because it prevents less change orders. So, but if we're all done with questions, guys, any more questions at all? Or we might wrap it up. All right, guys. Well, I will cut you loose. And then if you guys have any more questions, just fire them in the Facebook. I'm actually hopping on that next. I'm going to answer whatever's in there. And I will make sure I get back to every one of you, especially since it was a little late this week. So I will see you guys next week. Oh, I saw one message. Oh, there. Thanks, Don. And I will see you guys next week. And you guys practice with those calculators. The more we understand the cost, the more profit we make always. So, all right, guys.
All right, thanks, James.
Bye.
Thanks, James.